under the sun and dust. Chukwudi arrived in Onitsha on a harmattan morning, the air thick with red dust and ambition. He was only 14, with nothing but a nylon bag, 2 pairs of clothes, and his mother's cracked voice praying. Behind him, as the bus pulled away from Onyinye, he had come to begin his apprenticeship under Silvanus, a wealthy electronics dealer, known across Main Market for his sharp business mind and his temper. For the first few weeks, Chukwudi slept in a corner of the shop on flattened cartons, waking before dawn to sweep, fetch water, and make sure the counters gleamed like glass before the first customer arrived. Silvanus rarely smiled. He barked instructions through ledgers and struck with words sharper than a knife. Still, Chukwudi said, "Yes, sir," to everything. The traders said, "This boy seems smart." But smart didn't shield him from pain. There were days Chukwudi went to bed hungry, his body aching from carrying heavy cartons across muddy market paths. There were nights he sat in the dark, cradling his blistered feet, whispering his mother's prayers into the wind. By the time Chukwudi turned 17, he could quote every price in the market from memory. He could detect fake electronics by sound, smell, and sight. He had learned how to read the faces of customers, the hesitant ones who needed persuasion, the proud ones who needed flattery, and the greedy ones who needed trickery. Still, Silvanus didn't show any sign of gratitude. One December, Chukwudi mistakenly recorded an 18,000 naira transaction as 8,000 naira in the ledger. Silvanus exploded with rage. He slapped Chukwudi across the face in front of customers and accused him of theft. The boy stood frozen, shame and hurt choking him. He almost left that night. He almost packed his bag and returned to Onyinye. But something kept him. Maybe pride, maybe vengeance, maybe that quiet hope his mother had planted in him years ago. She had said, "You will make something of yourself." At 21, something changed. Silvanus traveled to China for a major supply deal and left Chukwudi in charge of the shop. He was nervous at first, but within days, his sales doubled. Customers came and stayed. He knew their names, their children's birthdays, their business histories. He offered credit wisely and collected it with firmness. By the time Silvanus returned, he found his profit margins had risen sharply. For the first time, he looked at Chukwudi with something like pride. He did not say, "Well done," but he handed him 50,000 naira as a Christmas gift and allowed him to order a set of goods by himself. It was the beginning. At 24, after 10 long years of apprenticeship, Silvanus called him into his office. "You don't try, Chukwudi," he said, finally. "You don't pay your dues." He gave him 5 million naira as settlement, less than what Chukwudi deserved, but enough to start. With trembling hands and eyes full of gratitude, Chukwudi returned to Onyinye for the first time since he left. His mother wept when she saw him. His siblings danced around him like a king returning from exile. Chukwudi returned to Onitsha and opened his own shop, Chuck's Digital Ventures. At first, it was just one small stall at the back of Main Market. But within 2 years, he had 4 shops, 5 apprentices, and direct links to manufacturers in Dubai and China. He dressed sharply, walked like someone who knew his value. But he never forgot those carton nights, those days of hunger, those silent prayers. He built a house for his mother, sent his sisters to university, and started a foundation to help young boys start apprenticeships without fear. People now called him Oga Chucks. One day, a boy came to his office with torn slippers and a pleading father. "Help my son, sir," the man said. "He is willing. He is humble." Oga Chucks looked at the boy. He saw in him the fire he once carried. He nodded. "Let him start tomorrow. We'll see if he has what it takes." By his 30th birthday, Oga Chucks was no longer just a name in Onitsha. He was a brand. Every major electronics importer in Nigeria knew him. His shops stretched beyond Main Market. He had branches in ABA and Nugu, In Lagos, he drove a black Lexus GX 460 and was featured in the Nigerian Business Review as one of the fastest-growing independent entrepreneurs in the East. But success came with new enemies. Some of his former colleagues whispered that he had done rituals, that no ordinary apprentice could rise so fast. A close business partner once betrayed him, selling him counterfeit goods worth over 20 million naira. Another time, armed robbers attacked his warehouse at night and made away with half his stock. He cried alone in his room that night, remembering his old boss's words, "Success no day finish walla. Na bigger walla e day bring." He considered giving up. He even thought about moving abroad. But every time he saw his mother on her knees thanking God, or a former apprentice calling to say, "Sir, you changed my life," he found strength again. It was in a Sunday church service that he met Onyinye, graceful, bold, and soft-spoken. She ran a small fashion business and sang in the choir. Unlike many women who saw only his car and suits, Onyinye challenged him. "Chucks, you are blessed," she said once. "But I don't think God made you rich just to show off. What are you building that will last?" Her words stayed with him. They courted quietly. She wasn't impressed by expensive restaurants or flights to Dubai. She cared more about how he treated people, about the foundation he had started for apprentices, about the young boys he trained to be better men. They got married in a grand ceremony in Onyinye, where Chukwudi was now a legend. Guests from Lagos to Hong Kong attended. Even August Sylvanus showed up in a starched white senator outfit, clapping like a proud father. But marriage brought its own test. Business became rocky. A shipment of electronics worth 45 million naira was seized at the port due to a customs mix-up. Chucks was furious. He threw things. He locked himself in his study for days. Onyinye entered one day, sat beside him, and said, "You are not that boy who slept on cartons anymore. Stop acting like he still has no control. God didn't bring you this far to shame you." Those words rekindled his spirit. News came one day that August Sylvanus had been defrauded by his own trusted manager. His shops closed, and he became ill. Many of his former boys abandoned him. Chucks heard the news and remembered those slaps, those long years of pain. But he also remembered that without that suffering, he would not be the man he was. He visited Sylvanus in the hospital, an old man now, weak and bitter. "You came to mock me?" Sylvanus asked, voice hoarse. Chucks shook his head. "No, sir. I came to say thank you, and to help." He paid for his treatment, got his house renovated, assigned one of his own boys to assist him daily. When people heard, they said, "Oh, good Chucks get heart. Real man." Years passed. Chucks became one of the biggest electronics distributors in West Africa. But he rarely appeared in magazines anymore. He focused more on mentoring. His foundation now sponsored over 100 boys across the East. Many became businessmen, engineers, even tech founders. He and Onyinye had 3 children. On his 50th birthday, his first son, Uche, read a poem in front of the crowd. "My father slept on cartons, but built us castles with dignity. He fought dust, hunger, betrayal, and chose love over revenge." The hall went silent. Chucks wept quietly, holding his wife's hand. He had not just succeeded. He had endured. He had not just risen. He had lifted others with him. And so, the boy who arrived with nothing but dreams and dust became a man whose name stood for legacy.